Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. Joining me once again is my co-host and Tocayo, rocking that overall, Adrian. Adrian, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, dude? Here, as you can see on my background, I have a bunch of stuff, steel boxes from my move, slowly but steadily, and getting back into having a dedicated space for the pod.
Yeah, it's slowly coming along, man. That's good. Good to hear, man. This episode is going to be a special, cool episode that we're trying something different here. This European season has started for USMNT and Selección Mexicana players. Many of them have found new homes. Many of them, have stayed and tried to fight for a starting spot or a bigger role at their current clubs. But we thought it'd be fun to kind of rank the eight most, I wouldn't say, I guess the eight most talked about or, hyped or, relevant strikers right now for the USMNT. Based off this chart you guys can see here, this tier chart. S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, F tier. S tier, we're not going to be basing this off, S tier being Messi and Ronaldo. This is going to be scaled down to represent the USMNT. So, an S tier here would be somebody that's playing one of the top four leagues, consistently starts for their team, and is banging in goal after goal, consistently. F tier is just, somebody that's, completely injured, out of the picture right now, or just finds himself not playing. And then obviously A through D is kind of on a ranked basis. The players we're talking about today are Daryl Dike, Jesusferreira, Jordan Pifot, ricardopepi, folarinbalogun, hajiwright, joshsargent, and brandonvazquez. So with that, Adrian, man, let's get into it. And let's start with your homeboy here, your fave, Brandon Vazquez. Vazquez, who plays for FC Cincinnati. He's one of the MLS players. Somebody that unfortunately, he was kind of blocked from a move to Europe this summer. Europe to Bundesliga was kind of on the cards, but ultimately, I can't remember, they were priced out, or Cincinnati just simply said, we can't afford to let him go right now. But I know you're a big fan of him, and he started really hot the MLS season, but has since really cooled down, man. He has 4 goals in 20 matches, 3 assists in MLS. He's pretty good when playing with the USMNT, right? He took advantage. He didn't start much in the Gold Cup, but when he did play off of the bench, he did score.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Brandon Vazquez? Are you still, nerding out for him? Still a big fan of him?
I'm still a big fan of him. I think he's if he's able to, concrete a move in the winter break or whenever the MLS season ends, which I think it's December of this year. If he's able to move that make that move a reality and play for a middle of the table kind of low team in Bundesliga, I think it will be extremely good for him, because I think it's one of those forwards that the USMNT doesn't really have in terms of his physicality. If you look at the most recent forwards that the USMNT has been using back in Qatar and the most recent Gold Cup and Nations League, most of them are not flimsy, but they are svelte, they are thin, they are fast. I'm not saying they're not strong. What I'm saying is Brandon Vazquez brings that physicality that for sometimes we, like, as the USMNT lacks. If you were to put, I don't know, Brandon Vazquez against the Netherlands in Qatar, I think he would have had a better chance than jesusferreira in terms of, I guess, retaining ball and being a go-to player that is able to put up a fight against the likes of Virgil van Dijk. Nonetheless, as you mentioned, he has actually kind of sort of cooled down with Cincinnati, even though Cincinnati is at the top of the league right now at MLS. While he hasn't been scoring as much as he did last season, as you said, he only has 4 goals compared to 19 from last season. I think he has been able to be a more of a team player and provide an outlet to the Cincinnati offensive, rather than being the go-to guy for Cincinnati. The go-to guy for Cincinnati right now is Luciano Acosta. So I think, again, he's only going to be able to be a better prospect or a better solution for the USMNT as he's able to move to Europe. If he's unable to move to Europe, then man, I'm still not gonna stop geeking out on him. But I wouldn't necessarily take him seriously for a USMNT spot.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree completely. He definitely has adapted his game to kind of suit a more of a holding forward type deal, right? He draws
Hmm.
defenders in, and he's able to distribute a lot better than he was last year. His numbers have gone down, but his people that appreciate soccer appreciate the work he does on the field. Um, what do you think rating wise for him? I'm feeling a C, just because obviously he's not banging in goals in the MLS like you would like a striker to be doing at that level, right? He's definitely not in Europe. He's not doing horribly to warrant an F or a D, I don't think, but he's kind of in a place where he's just kind of slowed down and kind of stagnated, right?
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair assessment, man. I think anywhere between like a B minus and a C range, that's what I will find him. I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you, a C. The only reason why he will be a B is because, or the only reason why we can put him on a B would be if he was, as you said, killing it in MLS, but he isn't. He's getting
Yeah.
consistent play time. He's still a sought after player with Cincinnati. He has an interesting future, but unless some of these things become a reality, um, I don't see him above a C right now.
All right, let's go to the next one, man. Next one I have on the list here is Josh Sargent. Josh Sargent, who started the season
Damn.
in the EFL Championship on fire, right? He had 3 goals and 1 assist in the last 4 matches for
Hmm.
Norwich. Unfortunately, as we've seen with him in the past, he injury prone. He got injured, and we're yet to really see the extent of it. But we know it's serious. We know he's going to be out for some time. Will he be out for 9, 10 months? It's an ankle injury, probably not, but he's probably seeing 3, 4 months out. Unfortunate because of the timing, right? He was performing well. He was looking to move maybe in the winter, and he was probably going to earn that move. Now it's probably moving, pushing suitors away because injury prone, but he was definitely the lock in striker for Norwich. And the EFL Championship is a good league. It's definitely one of the
Yeah,
top leagues in Europe, even though it's the second division in England.
yeah.
So to be making that type of to be a starter there, to be scoring week in week out, he was doing great. It's just so unfortunate about the injury.
Yeah, some may say that the EFL is the sixth best league in the entire world, and I wouldn't disagree. I mean, the level it's below Premier League, but it's definitely on par with Eredivisie, Belgium League, even Portugal. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunate man. Kind of a hard to rate him right now because I'm torn between he could have, if he was healthy right now, he could have been an easy AS kind of ranking. But right now, man, I'm afraid I have to put him on an F, dude. Depending, or maybe D, depending on the seriousness of his
Yeah.
injury. I guess that will depend where he goes, but D to F, that will be my call with him. Unfortunate, very unlucky on his side. I really hope that he gets to see the I guess the medical assessment comes back positive and it's not as severe as we think it
Yeah.
is. But what I've been reading so far is that none. I mean, there isn't that much hope for him. And just it sucks, man. It just sucks. He's been trying to make a move into EPL again, and this is just not a good perspective on him.
And he's been trying to work his way back into the national team, right? He wasn't there in the
Yeah.
Nations League or Gold
Hmm.
Cup, but he
Yeah.
stayed and fought with Norwich and earned his starting spot. And I agree. I'm right there with you. I don't know if I would have put him at A to S. I would have probably put him B plus to A. But yeah, I definitely think this drops him down to a D, just because when he's injured, he can't serve anybody, his
Damn,
club
man.
or the national team. Um, the reason I'm not putting him as an F just because it's not a we know it's not an ACL tear, which keeps you out 9 to 12 months. Hopefully, this is just a 3 to 4 month thing max. But yeah, unfortunate for Josh Sargent, man.
Yep.
The next player on our list here, another player that's playing in the EFL Championship, Dare to Hajiwright himself.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
someone who has moved from Turkey and Antalyaspor up to Coventry City in the EFL Championship. Um, since he moved there, he's pretty much made an appearance in every game. Either I think he has two starts and four roles or four matches off the bench roll, and he has scored. He has scored one goal against Middlesbrough. Um, you know, I yeah, he's not scoring. He has one goal in 6 games. Again, four were off the bench. He's not scoring maybe as frequently, but I think the season's still young. He's healthy. Um, and the good thing about Coventry is they like to play a 3-4-1-2 with two strikers at
Hmm.
the front. So he's competing really with the player Sims out there on the as a second striker. It looks like Godin has the other striker role locked in. He's pretty much first on this team sheet every week. And between Sims
Hmm.
and Haji Wright, they kind of battle for that second striker role. So I think between that, if they keep that formation, I think he'll get a lot of minutes this season. Between the EFL, between the FA Cup, he'll definitely be able to make some appearances. What do you think of him? Do you think we obviously were shocked that he came out of nowhere to be in the World Cup squad, right? And hasn't really been
Yeah.
called up
Uh-huh.
in the World Cup squad since then. Do you think he's still in one of the top strikers for the USMNT?
You know, tough one. Maybe right now, yes, just because George Sargent is injured, and Brandon Vasquez is not necessarily producing the level that we want, and we have some other uh, strikers that we haven't even touched yet that maybe are not necessarily uh, at the performance level that we want them. But I think as of looking at the pecking order, I would definitely see him as the fourth, maybe fifth choice right now. If I'm being completely fair to him, and I'm nothing against Haji Wright, I'm a Dare to Haji guy kind of fan over here. But yeah, man. I mean, I like the fact that he moved from Turkey to the championship. And the good thing about Haji Wright is that, and please, PPG Nation, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have the facts, but I don't think he's an injury prone player. So if he's able to, earn that spot and continue to be healthy and just prove that he's worth, he will definitely compete for that fourth, third spot in the USMNT. What we want to see for Haji Wright to happen is to continue being healthy, to get more minutes in his current team right now at Coventry, and just show us that he can, score those goals that are, you know, shall we say, magic.
Yeah, the Dare to Haji goals. He's another
Exactly.
player that's kind of like brings the same physical presence as Brandon Vasquez, right?
Hmm. Yes.
And he's doing it in a much stronger league. So if he's able to start getting more consistent assists and goals and appearances, I think he could definitely shoot up the rankings, especially with the unfortunate news of Josh Sargent. So currently, I
Yeah.
think I'd rate him as a C plus or B minus. On that line. Do you think that's a fair
Yeah.
assessment?
That's
Yep.
definitely fair, dude. Yeah, I think it will be. He would deserve a higher ranking if he was playing week in, week out, and he was the undisputed starter.
Yep.
But he isn't just yet. So fingers
All
crossed for
right.
Haji.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and put him there in front of Brandon Vasquez, kind of on the line between C plus and B minus. The next guy we have
Yeah.
on our list here, Adrian, is Flo Balogun himself. Uh, a guy that a
Um.
lot of hype to him. Obviously, we saw what he could do in the Nations League. He scored a goal against Canada. He played well against Mexico. But other than that, his summer was very slow, very mediocre. Right? He
Hmm. Yeah.
he didn't have the best preseason. He played against the MLS All Stars with Arsenal, and I think he played one other half at another preseason game. But other than that, he didn't even make appearances for the preseason for Arsenal, much
Hmm.
if any. Right? He finally is
Yeah.
getting his move away from Arsenal, moving to Monaco. Granted, he passes his medical tests this week, but the contracts have been written, the contracts have been signed. It all rely on the medical tests, which I don't see why he'd fail. But all documents are pretty much done. Um, But the one thing I do want to mention about this move, great move. We saw what he could do in League On, right? But Monaco is currently first in the league. They're one of the bigger teams, definitely in France, much bigger than the team he was in last year. And they're looking to compete to make it to the Champions League and to win League One. So I think at least starting with Monaco, he might find himself in the similar possession that we've seen Ricardopepi. Ricardopepi has been
Mhm.
benched in favor of Luc de Jong. Here, he'll be facing very, very stiff competition for that number 9 role from current striker with some Ben Yedder, who has been prolific at his
Okay.
time at Monaco, right? He has 135 or 86 goals in 135 games. So, obviously, Monaco is going to be playing a lot of competitions this year, so he will get time. You don't buy somebody for 40 million plus to have him ride the bench, right?
To not play him. Yeah.
Yeah, so he should get plenty of action, but it's just going to be up to him to kind of make that spot his own. Uh, Obviously, after having a very slow start to the season and not really playing much since the Nations League, do you still rate him as the number 1 or number 2 striker for the USMNT pool, or do you think he's gone down?
Man, you're coming up with some good questions today, dude. I'm not gonna lie. But I think I think as of today, as of right now, maybe the number one it's El Tren Ricardo Pepi in my personal view, just because of what you just mentioned, dude. His flows the gun. Summer was super slow, and I think I'm gonna even dare to say that it was detrimental for him in a lot of ways, right? The fact that he had to go back to Arsenal and going through all these rumors whether he's gonna stay or not, if he feels valued at Arsenal, if he wants to, make a challenge for that spot against Gabriel Jesus, and not allowing him to move sooner, right, to a different team, so he can get that preseason going and be in shape for the beginning of the season. I wonder how big of an impact it's going to have on him when he's considered to be ready for game time. Um, the
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast today, and then they were talking about this move from Arsenal to Monaco, and man, I'm torn apart. I'm not too sure if it was the best move for him. He's definitely going down a level in terms of competitiveness. If he would have stayed at a different EPL side,
Hmm.
uh, but the fact that he's going to Monaco, he's not gonna be the starting nine. That worries me. He's gonna, as Ben Yedder has been around for a while. He's definitely not a young player, but he is a you know player that you can bank on. That that you're gonna get your money's worth. That he's gonna be relevant on every single match. So this is a big challenge for Flo. I really hope that he finds himself in a position that he's able to play more often than we think he's gonna play, and that this is not a kind of sort of like lateral incline move for him.
Hmm.
I would have loved him to go to a place that he for sure at least 90% of the time was going to be the
The number
starting
one. Yeah.
striker, because at 21 years old, that's what you want. You want time, right? You want to develop. You want to keep on honing your skills, and moving to a team that has a good presence in the league, but that presence also means that you're going to compete against more experienced players that aren't necessarily on their I guess downside of their career, but more likely on the tail end of their peak, maybe,
Hmm.
uh, which means that you're going to face tough competition. So I think as of today, he's definitely maybe the second on the pecking order, just because of those specific reasons, right? I don't think he's I don't think he's in shape to be considered starting 11 material right now.
Yeah, I mean, if he wins that starting role from Ben Yedder, he
No
easily
questions
makes
asked. Yeah.
himself A tier at that
Hmm.
point, right? And
Yeah. Hmm.
if he starts scoring again week in week out like we saw him last year, that'll be S tier level for him. It's just
Yes.
Ben Yedder is a player that's like, not to spend too much time on him, but like maybe many of you guys haven't heard of him, but he's a player that would start for the USMNT in a heartbeat. 85 goals and
Yeah.
135 appearances in one of the best leagues in Europe. That's what we're needing at
It's a
this
good
point.
striker.
Yeah, he's a good
Yeah.
striker. He's just he's a good he's a good striker, man. So I think Flo can do it. We saw glimpses of that with the USMNT. So I think it's a good move. Obviously, the League One is not as defensively heavy as the Premier League, so it's a league built for strikers. So I definitely think once he's finally past that medical, knock on wood, and starts training and starts getting his first couple bench off the bench matches. If he starts getting a flow to his game, I think he could surprise people and definitely earn that starting spot sooner rather than later. So, what do you think? A solid B for him.
Yeah, solid B right now is good.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think that's a total fair assessment. And DPG Nation, you gonna hate, baby. Put it in the comments.
All right, man. Let's move on to the next guy here. We have ricardopepi. Again, someone that's kind of find himself behind another tail end of their career striker, Luke De Jong, another prolific PSV
Hmm.
Eindhoven, legend. But we've seen Ricardo Pepi make a couple of appearances off the bench. We saw him finally get his first Champions League goal for PSV. It was a penalty, but he did play
Hmm.
well that match. And most recently, last week, PSV had a behind closed doors friendly, and he scored a hat trick. So I
Nice.
think it's just a matter of time before, obviously Luke De Jong is 33. He'll eventually start needing a break here or there between matches, and it's a matter of time before we see Pepe starting. It's still or not. It's still too early to panic and say, "Oh man, this is Augsburg all over again. He's not playing, right?" I think the season's long. They're about to qualify, for, assuming they beat Rangers. They're going to qualify to the Champions League. So between the Champions League, the KNVB Cup, the Eredivisie, I think he should definitely find plenty of time to play. Um, so you were mentioning you think he's a step above currently over Balogun just
Yeah,
because he's been with PSV a little bit longer and has had some game time at this point.
yeah, and he looks in better again. We have yet to see Folarinbalogun on a more competitive match rather than the ones that he was part of during the summer. I think Ricardo Pepe right now is in better shape. Definitely we have seen him in better form. That Balogun, he as you mentioned, he just scored a hat trick on a closed door friendly, right? And I think it didn't take him that long to make an impact on PSV. Now with the start of the season, so I think it's just a matter of time for him to get into the heat of things, get into that role, and maybe I think we're gonna see him as a sub. I think we're gonna see him as a power sub whenever Luke De Jong is tired or they need more power to to make a comeback or whatever the case may be. I think we're gonna see him, and the fact that he's playing on a league that he knows now and he feels comfortable. It's a league that it caters to those strikers, right? Um, I think he's in the best spot that he can be right now, as of today, in this moment, to be considered maybe the starting striker for the USMNT.
Yeah, good points, man. Could have said that better myself. I think we're gonna have to, just so we could have somebody in the A column, we'll put him in the A column or A row
Yeah.
as the A minus. But again, if he starts bagging in goals, he'll definitely remain there. And same with
Hmm.
Balogun. If he starts bagging in goals, he can move up. Um, Next guy we have on here, don't really want to spend too much time on him just because he's having a horrendous start to the season and it's just not looking too well for him. Jordan Pifok,
Oof.
after
Yeah.
being one of the players that we all thought was going to be named to the World Cup, but they instead took hajiwright. He started off
Hmm.
the fall 2022 very, very well, scoring, scoring, scoring. He was hot out there, and ever since then, he's cooled down and has just lost his starting spot at Union Berlin, and now sometimes doesn't even make the bench. So yeah, very poor start, relegated to just a squad player, role
Yeah.
player, and I think I might be jumping the gun here. I still have to hear what you say, but at least in my opinion, I think right now he's at a D, and just only ahead of Sargent because Sargent is injured, and in that obviously Sargent wouldn't be in the D position, but I'm gonna put him here in front of Sargent on that row just because Sargent is injured. What do you think, Pivot?
Probably. I think it's a first assessment, but to me, I mean, I would even, I will feel comfortable and even go there to just say this is an F, dude. I mean, he's not making a big impact on Union Berlin, and I wouldn't be surprised by the winter break, we see him either moving to a smaller team or smaller league, or even coming. I don't know if he ever played at the MLS, but coming to the MLS. I mean, it's a tough one for him, dude. I really had high hopes and expectations for him, but damn, I'm not too sure if he's just going through a rough patch mentally or what's going on, but he's gonna have a tough 2023 and whatever comes in 2024.
Yeah, ever since he was left off the World Cup squad, he just hasn't been the same. So
Hmm.
yeah, I went ahead and moved him behind Sargent. He's just tiptoeing between a D and an F, kind of like what
Yeah.
we said there. So I'd rather start an injured Sargent than a healthy PFOC at this point. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
so next player on the list here is jesusferreira, the Pirate of the Caribbean here, the man who won the Golden Boot at the Gold Cup, scoring 7 goals in 5 games. Granted, it wasn't against the biggest competition, right? But I mean, hey, you play who you're in
Yeah.
front of, who's in front of you. He's had a
Hmm.
better, definitely a better MLS season than Brandonvazquez. He has 10 goals in 18 MLS
Yes.
games with 2 assists. And like we said, he had a great summer with the USMNT. Granted, they didn't win the Gold Cup, but he individually had a good showing. Um, I think, in my opinion, I want to hear your opinion. Um, he's number 3 at this point, man, behind Pepi and Flo.
Oof.
I
Yeah.
think he's right there at a B. I'm even gonna say a B. I'm not even gonna say a B minus. I mean, I'm gonna say a B. I don't want to be too critical on the guy. I'd say, oh, you guys are MLS haters, putting him in C or B minus. No, he's been performing. He's locked in starter for Dallas. Obviously, their main threat going forward, and when he plays, he scores. And he took advantage this summer of USMNT. So, what do you think? You think he's 3 on the list as well?
I mean, as of right now, I guess so. I mean, it isn't like he's facing a lot of competition right now. Damn it. I'm not necessarily an MLS hater. I do watch MLS almost pretty much every single weekend. Uh, but damn, I just cannot get behind the freaking Ferreira boat in this case because he's the part of the Caribbean, right? I just can't, dude. I cannot. Something is wrong. It doesn't feel right for me. But
You're still
living on
remembering
my,
the performance against the Netherlands in the World Cup?
I just think that he unfortunately he's a victim of the hype train of MLS and other things, and I think that's maybe the whole reason why I just cannot get behind him. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I don't think he is not deserving of a spot on the USMNT. It's just very difficult for me to make a an assessment, a definitive assessment on whether or not he should be, the third in line, or even if he should, be considered for a spot in the USMNT, just because of other players out there facing tougher competition. But I do understand that soccer and football is about moments. I do think that Jesus Ferreira is like an espejismo. Until we see him with tougher competition, then I can definitely get on board. But as of right now, I agree with you. Let's let's make an unbiased opinion, which is he's performing right now with his team. He's going through a good moment throughout the summer. Let's hope that he keeps it up. That FC Dallas goes into the playoffs, and we can continue to see him settle into that role, and maybe push him into, hey, let's go to Europe. I think as of today, he's definitely a solid B.
Yeah, there you go. You guys make sure to
Yeah.
record that clip of Adrian saying that and send it back to him. Um, no, but yeah, you put it perfectly. I think he's a victim of the MLS hype train circumstance, right? If MLS weren't consistently hyping him up and trying to sell him to the USMNT, I think
Yeah.
we'd all be more appreciative of who Jesus Ferreira is as a player. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think he's number 3 right now, and hopefully a move to Europe comes through for him because seems like a good guy, and it'd be cool to see him out there, hopefully performing
Yeah,
well.
for sure. Hmm.
Um, Last one on the list, and this one we're not going to spend much time with at all. The reason he's on this list is just because he's another one of the European Legion out there, and before his, you know, crazy injury, he was actually performing pretty well. Daryl Dike, who's going to be out until at least next year. He got injured back in April, and it was estimated 9 month recovery time. So injured for that long, not even available for your team. Poor guy, but it's going to be an F for him at this point.
Yeah. I mean, F
But
for respect, right? I mean, dude.
F in the
Well,
chat.
I mean, yeah, yes. I mean, exactly. I don't mean to, I hope that it doesn't come across that I'm making fun of him, because I'm not. I'm just, it hurts, dude. It's broken heart. It's heartbreaking. My bad. Uh, to see someone like Daryl Leake going through another serious injury, shortly after coming back from a difficult one. So,
Yeah.
all all the best to him. We really hope that he gets better. I think you and I, find him to be a very interesting player, and whenever he's healthy, he's proven to be, a talent that raises our eyebrows and be like, all right, this guy can actually compete for a spot
Yeah.
in the USMNT roster. But Jesus, man.
Yeah. Poor guy. Speedy recovery, Daryl DK. So,
Hmm.
Adrian, man, as we wrap this up, dude, where can our listeners find us, brother?
Don't forget they can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, the Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Puro Pinche Gol. We post stuff every now and then.
Yeah, make sure to follow us and let us know in the comments below what your rankings are between S, A, B, C, D, F rankings for these 8 players. Is there anybody that we missed here on the list that maybe deserves a shout out and recognition for this list? Do you agree that currently ricardopepi is probably the most in form and fit player to be leading the USMNT starting, A team lineup? Definitely interested to hear where you guys think of our list, and interested to see where you guys rank everybody. So be sure to comment. Adrian, man, it's been another good one with you, brother. I'll see you in the next one, bro.
Take it easy. Always a pleasure, my guy.
Likewise, brother. See ya.